So welcome everybody. Thanks a lot for coming. And today I'd like to present you our OHDSI tool, PHOEBE, which will help you design better observational studies. So designing an observational study apparently starts with your clinical idea. And when you define your clinical idea, then you want to identify your patients of interest, so create cohorts. And identifying patients of interest, of course, starts with creating your concept sets. So you want to translate your clinical idea into codes and select relevant codes and do not select irrelevant codes. Now, the biggest issue with the concept sets, especially if you don't have data or participate in the network study when you have multiple different data sources, is how do you approach creating concept sets. And right now there is no standard, up to the our presentation in the symposium, there was no common standard way to create concept sets. And you can take multiple approaches to that. You can go and search the literature and see what other smart people published on that and see what codes they used for a clinical idea. But the issue with that is that usually they only use one or a couple of vocabularies like ICD-9 or ICD-10 or specific flavors. And these vocabularies may not be applicable to your data source. And then their phenotypes were created on their own data sources. So again, you may not be able to use those concept sets in your data. You can also take another approach and go ahead and create a concept set on your own. And you would go and browse OMO vocabularies, and you'll see this huge, large space of dozens of vocabularies, of zillions of concepts. And it's really easy to get lost in there because the space is so huge and you have multiple things and you don't know how to choose from them and whether you should select this concept or that concept. And when you create this concept set, you usually end up, again, with a large number of concepts. And now what? You A, don't even know if you forgot something. And B, how do you figure out if that's the right concept set? Sometimes you send that to your clinicians, and clinicians look at this list of 200 or 300 concepts and go like, what are we supposed to do with that? It's like a large number of concepts. Do you want us to review that? So usually it doesn't go that well. And again, the key issue is that you never know if you did not forget some relevant concepts or included some irrelevant concepts. So what can we do about that? With that in mind, for researchers like us, we created, and by we mean OHDSI Community, we created a tool which is called PHOEBE. And PHOEBE will help you to define your initial starting point in your concept set selection. And then it will help you to modify your concept set to make sure that you included all relevant concepts and excluded things that do not really go with your clinical idea. And to show that, I actually went to Atlas and I browsed like multiple things, what can be used, for example. And I really love the simple disorder that is used in numerous studies as a comorbidity, as an outcome, as whatnot, which is a chronic kidney disease. And here there is just a simple definition of the chronic kidney disease, which I would like then use in my cohort. And it's simply one SNOMED concept with all the descendants, so something that you will usually start with. And if you click on the included concepts, you'll see that there is 130 standard concepts, which is already a lot, and 478 source concepts. So it's really, really hard to navigate this space. So how do I make sure that these concepts look good and that I did not forget any of the other concepts that should be in the chronic kidney disease? So what I do is I go to expert, and of course you don't have to use Atlas, I'm just using that because it's easier. and you want to select all the concepts that you want to test. And then I'll show you Phoebe. So it is located on data.odyssey.org, and then you'll scroll down and there will be this link Phoebe. And you click on that and it will bring you to the tool itself. So again, the tool has two tabs, initial concept and the concept set recommender. For the purposes of this small tutorial, I'm not focusing on the initial concept selection because I kind of already have it in my concept set. But if you are starting from scratch, you may also type in your condition here and it will give you the recommendation on where to start. But we have our list of concepts and we want to test if it's a good concept set. So I will paste my list of concepts into here, into the small box, and it will show me our recommendations. So first, let me navigate you through what we can see here. And the very first thing that you want to do is probably review the concepts that are included in your concept set. And you will go into included and we'll first focus on this included green things. So what you can see here are the concepts that are included in the concept set with all their details. And then on your right side, you have this highlight, one of the highlights of this tool, which is the record count, database count, and record count and database count with descendants. So these numbers are coming from our network study, which has 22 databases and more than, I think, 200 billion concepts in it. So the record count displays the number of records in the network that have this concept. So you can see that the very, and when you order it, you can order it by the record count or by the database count. So what you immediately can see is that the very top concept, end-stage renal disease, has more than like almost 300 million records in the network. So this is the most prevalent concept from the concept set. And what this record count gives you is an ability to review this concept set in a meaningful manner, because now you can actually see which concepts are used in the network and you can prioritize your review based on these numbers. And for example, if you go on the other page, you'll see that there are concepts that are not in the network at all. So probably it doesn't even make sense to review them because they're not used in the patient data. So this provides you a really nice means to review your concept sets and not spend like 100 of hours on that. So what I would do is I have this set of included concepts and I want to go through this list and make sure that all the concepts look nice. Again, depending on your background, it may be like a full review if you're a clinician. If not, it can be just a face validity, because sometimes you'll see something that is clearly not right. So I'm going through this list and the top concepts seems really relevant. End-stage renal disease, chronic kidney disease, chronic kidney disease. So just based on the face validity, everything looks good. And I scroll down and scroll down, and now I see this concept which says pre-existing, I'm gonna highlight it, pre-existing hypertensive chronic kidney disease. Now that looks suspicious because it says pre-existing chronic kidney disease. And when I created this concept set in mind, I thought of incident chronic kidney disease. Of course, you don't know that, but when you create concept sets, you have some clinical ideas in mind. So I really wanted new onset of chronic kidney disease. And this concept clearly says that the chronic kidney disease was present in mother before that. So that kind of looks not right. And what I really want to do is to exclude this concept just to make sure that I'm not getting prevalent chronic kidney disease. So what I would do, and again, there are multiple options. You can just download the whole data and go through that in Excel file, or you can use Atlas. So what I will do is I will copy this concept, We'll go back to my concept set, we'll make a copy, and I will import this concept and we'll exclude it because it doesn't seem that I really want it. So now it's excluded, and I can iterate again through my list. So in the following manner, you'll go through the list of concepts, and you can order it depending on how you want, but essentially record count gives you an idea on how to order it to make sure that you focus on concepts that bring the most patients in your cohort. So I will go through that, and it kind of looks fine again because chronic kidney disease, chronic kidney disease, chronic kidney disease. So face validity is fine. And probably at this point, I really, oh, here you go, another pre-existing hypertensive heart disease. So I also want to exclude this. But at this point, I really probably want to stop because why bother with the other concepts? They do not really bring any more patients in my concept set or in my cohort. So what else? I've reviewed the included concepts. What else can I do? I can also take a look at the other concepts that were not included in the concept set. And you have multiple options. You can take a look at the parents that were not included, and you can take a look at the recommendations. And again, you can order, which is done already, you can order on the record count to get this feeling of what are the concepts that are used in OHDSI network. And I'll go through these codes again and see if I want to pick something. So acute renal failure syndrome does not really match my idea because it's acute, it's not chronic. Then, oh, there is anemia in chronic kidney disease. So that, even without any medical background, that clearly says chronic kidney disease. And for some reason, this concept is not in our concept set. So I definitely want to include that. And again, I will copy that. And you can see that if you look at the numbers, the concept for barium appears in the data sources more than 55 million times, and with the descendants more than 100 million times. So that's a lot of patients that I'm missing in my concept set. So I will click on that, and I will again import this concept with the descendants, and we'll have my updated concept set with the anemia and chronic disease. And then if I go down in the similar fashion, I'll see things that are actually relevant, like for example, CPT4 end-stage renal disease services. Again, I may not know what this specific code is, but it says end-stage renal disease, so at least I can include it, and if I'm about to proceed with clinical review, I can show my clinicians those codes and tell them, hey, this looks kind of relevant. Do you want to take a look at that? In the following, in the same fashion, I'll go through all of these codes and we'll stop when the counts are low, and I will update my concept set in Atlas until I feel that this is a good concept set. Now, this tool is all about iterations. When I create my concept set and update it, and I feel that it's fine, what I can do next is I can go to expert and again, click all the concepts, copy all the concepts, go back to PHOEBE, paste it again, and look through the list until I feel that the list is really good and I can proceed with that. And also, if you're about to send it to somebody, sometimes people are interested in the source codes. So you also have source concepts, and you have like ICD-9s and ICD-10s. So you can also, with the counts, so you can also give this list to other specialists who may want to review it. And again, the beauty of it is that it has those numbers that really tell you how many records and patients you'll have with these codes. So you can prioritize your enormous, huge lists, and people who work with you will are more likely to actually look at them. And of course, it will provide you the recommendations that you missed. Now, you may wonder, okay, it seems that I included all the relevant concepts and made sure that all the included concepts are good. But how do I figure out if the patients with these concepts are the patients that I want? And this will tell, Gotham will talk about how to look at the patients.